It is at this point in the process that I make a humbling confession, although I really think it's just a human thing. When you watch these players that you think the Steelers might possibly take in the draft, you do it with a different eye than what you do afterward. And I've had some fun here over the last 24 to 48 hours. See, here's the thing. Chris, who we're bringing in here after the break, Chris watches these guys all the time. He's just like that, okay? He sees this stuff year-round. And that goes double for leading up to the draft, especially once things appear to be crystallizing a little bit. Like we think we know who they're going to take. We think we know what position they're going to focus on. But there's totally a different experience at the other end of actually taking them and then hearing from them and then hearing from the Steelers coaches or coordinators or the head coach or the GM about what they see in those players, because now you start to watch. Look, here's what I'm trying to tell you. I really started watching these guys just like over the last couple of days. Before was just kind of highlights and this and that and whatever else, and the breakdowns that Chris would produce. But I put together for myself this YouTube collage of Derek Harmon and then Y.A. Black and tried to take these two dudes, just them, by the way. I'll do the offensive guys, other Caleb Johnson, everybody next week. But just take these two dudes and transport them to Pittsburgh right now and see how it is that they fit. I am really stoked, people. Okay? I am, and I've not told Chris what today's show is going to be about. Okay, so he doesn't know. But I'm going to drop this on him when he comes aboard. My comparable in particular for Harmon, and see where it is that goes, because I feel like I am excessively excited about this player at this point in time. But when you take them and you bring them into a situation where they've already got an all-pro, I don't care what his age is, version of Cam Hayward, coming off the season that Cam just had, and you factor into it, Carl Dunbar's expressed hope that Cam can actually have his snaps reduced a little bit and thus stay even fresher and healthier and everything else and possibly be even more effective. Yeah, there just might be something coming here with this group. And I don't know that it'll take very long to manifest. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about whatever it is that you guys have on your minds when we come back after this quick break.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Carol Toth comes at me with a clearly false accusation. She says, you were so stoked today on your daily shot of Steelers that you referred to the quarterback as Aaron Rudolph. There's no chance that this happened, Carol. None whatsoever. It did? I did this?
Uh-oh.
The boss finds that funny.
Uh-oh.
Carol, you're getting a laugh out of the boss. Leo says, yes, you did.
Uh-oh.
Mikey says, yes, that did happen. Yes. Oh, yeah, right.
They're all
right at the end. Look at you heels, you traitors.
Honestly, I didn't get a chance to listen to this morning's Daily Shot yet, and that's really funny.
I can't stand any of you anymore. Look at them all just. Clay says, yeah, I thought it was a joke. That's not a joke. I'm only finding out Then Jim says, what about Mason Rodgers?
That's actually really funny.
Keith Ray points out that my status on the injury report just went to questionable. This is true. I guess the good part here is that at least we know that people are listening. Wow, that is so bad. I am just finding this out because I don't usually get to the comments and so forth until like the afternoon.
I know what I'm listening to as soon as we end this.
Oh, I know what she's going to turn into a short sound clip that we put out. Yeah, she's going to put that out. Here's your resident football expert you want to be listening to, everybody. You know, Chris, that aside,
yeah,
my idiocy aside, Dave Black says, I've watched numerous highlights of Derek Harmon, and it is quite exciting to see. He's going to be a stud. You felt this way for a while. Some of us are late arrivals to this.
Yeah.
I'm looking first and foremost here after this session, though. What's his flaw? Like, what's his thing where you go, oh no, but ... Because I didn't see it.
Well, the main thing that's really kind of stood out was he missed too many tackles and he missed too many finishes. Like he left some meat on the table, the best way to put it. And that has to improve, obviously. I mean, it's great to get into the backfield. That's phenomenal. But you got to finish. You got to at least make a tackle, at least get a hand on somebody. If you get in the backfield and nothing happens of it, then it's almost like, what's the point? So that part of it he's got, but there's a reason why he was a first round pick. There's a lot more strengths than there are weaknesses.
Yeah, and the thing about not finishing, as we've talked about with Broderick Jones, at obviously a different position, is sometimes that can be excessive confidence. Sometimes can be that it was too easy for you.
Yeah.
At the college level, and sometimes it's just flat out laziness. The one thing I did not see in this young man was laziness.
Oh no,
I saw a motor that did not stop until the football was back in the ref's hands.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really encouraging.
The only other thing that was like and again, you're looking for when you're trying to. And again, I'm a beat reporter. I'm not a scout, but when I talk to people who know stuff about the game, that's how I try to apply it to whenever I'm watching a player to try to help educate. When you hear stuff about like pad level and things like that, he can get too high out of his stance right away, which that immediately you just lose leverage, because if you're not underneath the guy who's trying to block you, you're not going to have any leverage to try to beat him unless you're just wickedly fast. And while he does have a very good first step, it's not, going to be one of those steps that's just going to beat a guard or a tackle all the time. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're getting out of your stance quickly, but also at the right level too, so you can maintain that leverage. But that kind of stuff, the stuff that's wrong, the weaknesses are all fixable by coaching, all of them. So
yeah, that's what you're never concerned about settings in which the athlete can do things, can actually physically perform the acts that need to be performed. What you worry about is when there's a lack of really, I got to go all the way to that side to make that tackle. Well, that was his job and that kind of thing. And more than anything, that was what stood out to me. The second thing that stood out to me in watching him, and I know everyone was aware of the quick feet, of the general quickness that he has for someone his size. And that's something that is easy to appreciate in watching him. He does not appear to be 311 pounds as he's moving. But what I had not expected was the quickness of his upper body, of the torso, of the arms. I don't know that he, as you suggested, is an elite tackler, but I saw movement with his upper body. The way he would beat people on the pass rush, for example, he'd make himself skinny, which sounds nuts for 311. He didn't have a thing. In other words, some dudes that are really, really big, they just become comfortable being really, really big, and they're just going to blow through you. He took whatever way was necessary, including avoiding you, including being elusive. Had not expected that.
Yeah, whenever he gets into the gap and he has any kind of head start, it's pretty much over. There's going to be at least a pressure, if not a quarterback hit or a sack. That's that. I'm a big part of that is having that quick first step. Also understanding like he's a really, really smart football player. He understands what his role is. He understands. He pays attention to the little nuances and to the little details. And you hear a lot of the time when you're talking about coaches I mean, how many times do we hear Arthur Smith say the word details throughout the season last year? It's there all the time. And that's why you know that Arthur Smith is like 10,000 times the coordinator that Matt Canada is, because I almost never heard Matt Canada say the word details. And so it just goes to show. And then Derek Harmon pays attention to the details, and that's good for a player, because then again, it just puts them a level above almost anybody else.
The place to become a member is to go to dkps.net/join. And as a lot of our viewers got to experience in the past month, there are benefits to the membership. You will come in for special shows and see very special people passing in the background. As we're speaking, like Omar Khan and Andy Weidel and everything, we're in the building. The relentlessness of these people, they keep coming at me. Did you notice this?
That's why I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
It's like they've never made a mistake in their lives. If you're coming late, was it Aaron Rudolph or Mason Rodgers? Which one? Aaron Rudolph, I said at some point. Yeah, Aaron Rudolph. I said on this morning's Daily Shot podcast. Yes, it did. Dave said, yes, you did. It cracked me up, but I'm super chatting just to say this. He threw in $5 to get this dig in. Just want you to know who Dave is, okay?
Totally worth it.
Totally worth it, she says. She's paid less than $5 to take shots at me. But then here's the thing, like this joke, this is getting tired now. The Franco Bradshaw, Marquise DeCastro, or David Pouncey. The best one actually was earlier that said Ramon Foster and Ramon Wilson.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good one, because all you have to do is flip the A and the O in the first name.
We got it the first time, Halleck.
Yeah.
He's here to explain the jokes.
He's here to explain the jokes.
That's what I do.
She says.
That's
He's
what I
the
do.
guy in the corner.
Yeah.
After Conan O'Brien's done, Chris comes up and tells you. So what he meant.
Falling apart, man.
And then on top of that, Chris comes in and ruins David Weiss's Friday by bringing up Matt Canada's name.
Sorry.
And Thomas Grant notices that the boss just made the Starbucks run. I was running a little bit behind today, but you can always tell the drink is fresh whenever the whipped cream starts doing the icicle effect.
Yeah,
like that.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Sadly, I might add. You want to talk about somebody who'd really be able to do some high quality endorsements here. Steeler Girl says to you, Chris, good stuff with the Chalk Talks, which, by the way, have been really well received because they've been really well done. That's kind of how this stuff goes. If you have not checked out Chris's Chalk Talk videos, they're now running Monday through Friday on our same channel, of which you are undoubtedly aspiring to be a member if you're not already, at the DK Pittsburgh Sports YouTube channels. She says, I still don't know how to feel about old man Rodgers, though. That would be Aaron Rodgers. If it wasn't him, I might feel different. I don't know what she means by if it wasn't him, if that's a personality thing or what. I've really been throwing that stuff out the window in this part of the process. But how should she feel from a football standpoint?
Well,
what's he have left?
Yeah, the whole point of the Chalk Talk this morning was to look at one major thing, and that is how much is there any magic left in that arm? You know, that was the big thing, because in his heyday, Aaron Rodgers' arm talent, we're talking top 3 arms of all time. Like it's special. It's the release. It's what he can do when he's not throwing in a basic on platform from the pocket situation. It's what can he do when he's extending plays, the ridiculousness of the throws. And he still had some last year with the Jets, and that's what I broke down in the Chalk Talk. And the whole point that I was trying to make was not like this is why you should like Aaron Rodgers if they sign him. It's this is why the Steelers want to try to bring him in. This is one of the reasons why. It's not because I'm not sitting here holding a sign being like, hey, I'm pro Rodgers. It's not anything like that. It's trying to help explain why, if you have the question, why the heck are the Steelers even entertaining this? That's the reason why, because that arm, from what I can see, still looks like it's got, you can tell that he won 4 MVPs at one point.
Yeah, you can, but, and you'll see it in flashes. Is it there along with what else is needed consistently?
Yeah,
I'm asking.
Yeah, no, and that's the part. Now, I'm really starting to kind of dig into it, and that's not going to be the only Chalk Talk I do on Rodgers. Another stat that I tried to find, and I actually explained it in there. I looked at actual numbers, statistics, and EPA is a big one, and EPA per dropback on deep balls, because I want to see, okay, you got DK Metcalf, you got George Pickens. Can this dude throw the ball down the field?
Can it be made? Can it be made?
Yeah, and yes, his EPA per dropback last year was 5th in the league.
That's the thing I think you want to see with Rodgers more than anything, and there were occasions with this last season with the New Jersey franchise that I paid attention to, that he would see somebody, and you know what I'm talking about. He would just spot somebody late in the play. Now, I don't know how much late in the play you're going to see from him in Pittsburgh, but I'm just saying,
right.
When he would see it late in the play, he would go, oh, that guy. And then he would still execute the throw.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that would be encouraging, like really encouraging toward this process. But again, I don't know how much late in the play there is. I saw a lot of good things from Russell Wilson late in the play. But true. I didn't see a whole lot of Russ late in the play. Yeah. I saw Russ going, oh, my God, I'm about to die. And then Russ's second thought was, well, that's okay, because I'm Russ from 10 years ago in Seattle, and I'll just run out of this. Yeah. Third thing, Russ is on his stomach.
Yeah, that's the other part of it, is that how consistently can he make those type of plays? And I think the arm is still there. It's not what it was a decade ago. But some of the things that he's able to do, he doesn't necessarily need the mobility that Russell Wilson had, because number one, he's definitely more than willing to throw to the middle of the field because you can see it. And the other part of it is that he can still make the throw where he's on his back foot and can just it's like pulling a trigger on a gun. It's just gone. Mm-hmm. He just whips it out almost like it looks like it's sidearm, but it's not. It's just that fast how it comes out. And he can still do it off his back foot, thrown across his body. It's like, man, if that ability is still there, you can literally wait until the very last millisecond before you are about to get annihilated and still be able to make a quality throw. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing to have. Obviously, everything else has to work. If you're asking Aaron Rodgers to come in and put the cape on 17 times, yeah, your expectations are way too high. You have to be able to run the football. You have to be able to do other things. You have to be able to play defense. But again, the whole point of the Chalk Talk today was, is there still magic in that arm? And I just go watch it.
It's a good plug. Dave Black has a good, more broader theoretical question here. It says, how long can the Steelers wait for Rodgers and not miss out on other quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins? Cousins, of course, is not like some free agent. So you're not going to miss out. Yeah. He is the property of the Atlanta Falcons from now until like eternity or something, right?
I think it's another 2 or 3 years.
Okay. I mean, for a guy his age, it's a long time.
Yes.
And so he's not going anywhere. Now, somebody else could acquire him. If you're Minnesota and you're looking for some sort of, insurance for J.J. McCarthy, somebody to be in his background or whatever, you can go and get Cousins back. He's been there before. He can do it again. But I throw out Ryan Tannehill on occasion here, and oh my goodness, does it light people up too? Tannehill. Why? Because he's 36. That makes him Aaron Rodgers' grandson effectively in quarterback years.
I think the difference there is that Aaron Rodgers is going to age differently because Aaron Rodgers is going to go down as one of the 5 best quarterbacks of all time, and Ryan Tannehill at his very best was a Pro Bowler, but not even an All-Pro. And I think that's like Tannehill at 36 is not the same as Rodgers at 41. And I think, that's the best way I can put it.
Chris Santana advises that cup of sugar with a straw is not good. There's no sugar in here, my man. I'm not allowed to have sugar. This is so much more wicked than you might think, but not in the sugar sense.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes, he does. Chris has seen this drink get made multiple times on our travels.
Mm-hmm.
Then he says, I never want to look like the team. Then there's this too. I think this is legit. I never want to look like the team that has to sign the Joe Flacco's or the Vinny Testaverdes just to get by. I don't either. I'd rather see, and not just for appearance's sake, though. I'd rather see the Steelers say, all right, listen, here's another Mason Rudolph argument. I don't care who's tired of it. It's Friday. You don't have to hear him for the next 2 days. But here's a guy we drafted a few years ago. We're proud of it. Okay? We're proud of the development. We're proud that he's a Steeler. We're proud that he came up with us in this building. Yeah, he got away for a year or whatever because whatever, we got Fields and Wilson in our eyes. Okay. But he's back. We're going to go with this guy. He's a Steeler. He knows the people in this room. He knows everything. They were singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on Christmas Eve over at Hagershire Stadium. All of that's good stuff. All of that's good stuff. So if you want to talk about appearance sake, that's something there. Now, that said, appearance sake, one thing that it's probably worth considering, and I've done this, I swear, is you'll see that there's lots of people that are going to be cynical about this and that. Will Aaron Rodgers' personality gel with the current Steelers locker room? David says, capitalizing Steelers. Will he be a professional quarterback that the Steelers can count on? Here's what. When you go out there and you win a football game, especially if you were to win it decisively, you will turn this city like that.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you here right now, that includes present company. Okay. Meaning at least in this box. Okay. My skepticism at the moment is that he'll be able to do that, or that he'll sufficiently move the needle. Okay. It's not that if he does well, I'm going to go, he stinks. Yeah, I don't like him. Whatever. They won despite him. Or that's not me. That's not how I operate.
Yeah.
But for the public, if he wins a game and the Steelers put up 30 and gets your hopes up, you don't have to be doing any polls.
Yeah, no. Winning cures everything. And if Aaron Rodgers joins the Steelers this season and leads them to an 11-6 record and wins at least one playoff game, I don't think many people are going to be complaining. The only people that probably would be complaining at that point would be, well, they're not going to have a high enough draft pick to go get a quarterback next year. Well, they actually still can do that because the Chiefs already kind of proved that you can do that. But winning cures everything. And I as far as like for appearance's sake for this year, I understand it from like the possibility of distractions, but on the football field, it's like, who are your better options? Because we know that their number one priority was Justin Fields.
Yes,
that was absolute. That's not debatable. It's not like they went into free agency being like, oh, screw Justin, screw Russ, we're going to go after Rodgers. No, they tried to re-sign Fields. It's just the Jets were willing to give him more money, both total and guaranteed, and so the Steelers were that wasn't the price they were willing to pay, so they moved on. And when they moved on to Rodgers, and that's where they've been for the last 7.5 weeks. So, what are your other really good on the field options? That's the reason why they're still here on this week's long hunt.
DV says the Penguins are building a much more promising future, whereas the Steelers will have to rebuild their defense again in a few years after Cam and TJ retire.
That's what they just started doing.
Yeah, and DV, I got to tell you, in addition to the Steelers beginning to rebuild their defensive line, and you got to start somewhere, and they've done that, as much as I think of what Kyle Dubas is building with the Penguins, and the plan that he has. You want to talk about a team that has to rebuild their defense? Oh my God. I'm sorry. Okay. Like, I have a lot of respect for Chris Letang, a lot for Erik Karlsson, and that defense, as I put in a headline upon the end of the Penguin season, needs to be blown to bits.
It's bad.
When you're debating whether or not you want to bring Matt Grzelcyk back, whether or not that would be a worthwhile act.
Even in a year where you're not going to be trying for it, it's just still so bad. It's
Mikey says, deep hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that gave up a ton of odd man breaks, a ton of breakaways. Even though they shored that up over the course of the full NHL schedule, by the time you got to season's end, it was still happening, even when they overall played better. Gene says, I'd love to see the Steelers offense put up 30-40, but I don't want Boz getting rusty. Don't worry about Boz. Those PATs keep him fresh. Boz is not going to – he's not that guy, by the way. Boz, one of the coolest things about Boz, and I know he rubs a lot of people the wrong way in that environment because he is his own guy, and he's not especially chatty. He wants to be left alone for the most part, right? But in my conversations with Boz, most of them, by the way, have been awesome. Okay, so I have no complaints about the guy. Boz just wants to win. Okay, you guys have all by now seen the incredible viral video where he's coming off the field and Matt Canada's in front of him, and Canada's high-fiving everybody after the win. And Boz yells out, "It sure wasn't because of you." Okay, that is if and when Boz goes into the Hall of Fame as the greatest kicker of all time, and I'm not ruling that out, at least not all that seriously just yet. That's going to be his all-time moment for me. All he wants to do is win. If he goes 7 for 7 and 4 of those are from 50 plus, he's in a rotten mood, a legit, not phony, not whatever. Whereas if the Steelers if they win a game 28-21 and all he's done is put 4 routine PATs between the pipes, he's awesome. Okay. And I love that. I find that to be such a Steelers thing about him. I feel a little guilty right now. That's not something I feel like I've shared a whole lot with people. Boz is a winner. Don't forget who won the last playoff game that the Steelers have won. It was Boz pretty much all by himself in Kansas City, Missouri.
Wasn't it just field goals? It was 6 field goals, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had 18 points.
Yeah, so
that was the pre-Mahomes Chiefs, the last of the pre-Mahomes Chiefs.
Yeah, that was the year before. That was that
Alex
Chiefs
Smith,
team. Yep. Yeah, that Chiefs team went 12-4, went into the draft the very next year, traded up 17 spots to go get Mahomes. So Boswell's the one. Boswell's the reason why the Chiefs were like, screw this. We need to go get a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, we just got beat by a kicker. No, we got beat bad by a kicker. He ran the score up on us. The kicker ran what was the final? I got to find the final here.
I think it was 18. I think it was 18-16.
18-6 sounds right.
I thought it was the same score as the season opener in
18-16.
Atlanta.
18-16.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
18-16.
So Boswell. So we've now found the culprit for Patrick Mahomes' dominance, and that is Chris Boswell broke the Chiefs. That was enough.
Oh yeah. Our friend. There's no such thing as a Friday around here without our friend the PEF chiming in. And the PEF says, to think we had to go through Sean Sweezum's injury in the Hall of Fame game. And for anybody who doesn't know what the PEF is talking about, that was Sean going up on a kickoff and tackling somebody and getting himself knocked out for the season. Sean Sweezum, by the way, a women's hockey coach around here, and a really good one at that. In the Pittsburgh area, and he works up at the Penguins facility. Garrett Hartley injured in the preseason. Josh Scobie just to get to Boz. Just to get to Boz.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's how it happens.
Yep. And yeah, I can emphatically reinforce what you said about Boz. He would be immensely stoked if he went 6 for 6 and all 6 were PATs. because he knew his offense scored 6 touchdowns. He'd be stoked. Easiest job in the world to kick PATs.
Antonio Jackson celebrates his 2-year anniversary as a member of this program by gifting 5 of those to others. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. You don't have to do anything to accept them. YouTube assigns them based on whether or not you've had them before or whatever. They kind of figure that out. You just have to have a thing on that says accept gifts. So that's actually really, really cool. I have some questions starred over here that I want to get to. I thought I did anyway. No, I did not. What do I know about anything? I don't even know the names of the quarterbacks on this team. Curtis Smith says Matthew Wright did a good job as a fill-in for the Steelers and several other teams. I got one for you, Chris.
Yeah.
While we wait for other actual football questions from you wiseacres who will not let go of one mistake that I made on today's Daily Shot podcast, you can feel free to participate in the actual program at any time is what I'm saying here. Chris, when you're talking about the punting situation right now, I know how we feel about Cam Johnston. I know how we feel about the punting in general on this team. What's the status of that? Is Johnston, who is on a 2-year contract, is he going to be ready? That was a hell of an injury.
Yes, it was. As far everything that I've heard so far is that Johnston is going to be ready to go. I have not heard anything else. I think it was Omar was asked about that at the NFL annual meeting, and I believe he reinforced that he's going to be okay. So that in turn would let you know who the punter is going to be. They didn't sign Cam Johnston last year to possibly lose or be in a punting competition with Corliss Waitman. No. Yeah. That's nothing against Waitman whatsoever. He's going to punt in the NFL in 2025 if he wants to. He proved that last year. But yeah, as far as I know and everything along those lines, Cameron Johnston's going to be ready to go, and they should be really good set at punter, I should say.
I believe that I said that Cam Johnston was signed to a 2-year contract. That's incorrect. He was signed to a 3-year contract in 2024. So he's here for the long term. Now, I say that Corliss Waitman came along and was really good. I mean, this was something that I can tell you. Cam Johnston's. I was in the locker room when we were on the road whenever Cam Johnston got hurt. I don't remember exactly where that was, but I remember
season opener.
So that was in
Atlanta.
And I remember that Danny Smith you could just tell he looked like he'd seen a ghost going through that room. And in his own inimitable way, he was, cracking jokes about how screwed he was, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
You can actually picture this, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, anybody in here know how to punt? Anybody know how to punt? Anybody know how to punt? Corliss Waitman came along and did a great job. But if you're Waitman, you're not hanging around to see any kind of competition. You're going out and getting yourself a starting job somewhere in the NFL based on what you just did. Waitman carried himself like a total pro on and off the field, punting, holding, you name it, teammate.
Yep.
I just have nothing but great things to say about him. That to me was one of the most underappreciated positives.
Yep.
Especially to that 10-3 start and to everybody singing about the special teams, and nobody mentioned Waitman. It was all about Boz and the kick coverage and Ben Skoranek and everything. Not that they didn't earn their own kudos, but Waitman was a really, really, really big deal. In that 10-3.
Yeah, absolutely. And pretty much, and that just goes to show, because usually the only time you're talking about the punting is whenever it's bad. If you're not talking about it, usually that means the punter is doing his job. And Corliss Waitman, I think, outside of one bad shank in a snow globe snowstorm in Cleveland,
yep,
he did a good job.
There was one other one. It wasn't just Cleveland. There was one other one that he had that he really wanted back.
Yeah,
I know that it was also on the road, but yeah, there's Jay Mood says Waitman is going to start for someone. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He really showed up well. My Waitman story that I love to tell was in Denver, which was his first game. Nobody's paying attention to him. Do you remember his kicks in that game, Chris? He was unbelievable. They were like, every kick was like 59, whatever. Okay. And then they were all directionally accurate and everything. And the game ends, and he's sitting there by himself on that one far wall in the Broncos room. Nobody's around him, no nothing. And I walk up to him, and he thinks I'm going to interview him or whatever. So he stands up. like as if I matter, right? He stands up and he's ready to be interviewed, and I just say, you don't have, questions do you have to ask of a punter, right? I didn't have that was how did you kick that ball so far?
I know,
those
right?
are great interviews, right? But he goes, so I just say something like, dude, that was really impressive. You were really a big part of this. And he just goes, oh, thank you. Like that.
That's so good. Jonathan says, I think his left-footed spiral helped cause some of those fumbles. You know what else caused some of those fumbles? A man who goes by the nickname, thanks to Arthur Smith, Dirtbag, running straight at somebody full speed will do it too.
Well, they had a couple dirtbags.
Yeah, they did
in that process that were doing that, and that they were, not only were these guys dirtbags in terms of their approach, they were dirtbags in terms of how they studied.
Yep.
And when if you ever listen to Ben Skoranek talk about punts and punt returns and punt receptions, he's on everything. It's insane. Yep. He'll say, well, listen, this guy has a history of when the ball comes from this direction and the sun is over here and the moon is over there, and it's going to hit him like this, and it's incredible. Yep. But then that's what football people refer to as intensive preparation. That's how those things happen.
Yep, absolutely. And it's to me, it's not going to be a sexy signing whatsoever. But then bringing back Ben Skoranek on a 2-year deal is already telling me, number one, that they're not just bringing him in to be like, oh, let's see. No, he's going to be one of the receivers on the 53-man roster. And that is, again, like special teams. Like, I think I saw like a couple shows ago, like somebody was like, the Chris isn't paying enough attention to special teams or whatever, because we were talking about the 7th round picks and how those were geared towards special teams. I very, very much understand how important that is in a football game. And I do think Ben Skoranek is one of the best signings they've made this offseason, because it really shores that up. You don't have to worry about in August like they were last year. You don't have to be worrying about, well, who are going to be our gunners on punt coverage. Nope, you got somebody who can really, really do it already.
James Galloway says, DK, how much do you miss Stephon Tuitt's smile immediately after he'd answer a media question? I mean, the smile was there actually all the time. I mean, you get to see the interviews and stuff like that. I miss Steph, period. And this was a great example of the term that gets thrown around a little bit too much in football, the gentle giant. You see the big person, whatever, that you might see them as the bouncer in a bar. They'd be really scary or whatever. But Steph was the exact opposite of that. And yet on the football field was sheer terror for his opponents in a way that even Cam, but Cam's more of a tactician. Cam's going to get to make the play. Cam will tell you this himself. Steph was the one who was just wrecking things. Yeah. And football people love that sort of thing. That's why they respected Bud Dupree way before anybody else did. Because Bud's just destroying things. Bud's just, Tasmanian deviling his way. And the whole offense is like, what do we do about that guy? Even though that guy wasn't necessarily accomplishing anything, you get distracted by that. Yeah. And I obviously everyone hates the way Steph's career had to end, and the tragedy that went into it. And you wish him nothing but the best. Every once in a while, I will, in private, ask one of his teammates who's still in touch with him, just how's he doing? And it's still not super easy to get a hold of him. You just hope he's doing well and his family's doing well. Yeah. And hats off to the career that he did have instead of being negative about it or anything to that effect here. Preston Powell says that Harmon and Hayward will be like the Tuitt and Hayward combo. Come on, man. I mean, I got my hopes up watching that stuff, but I'm not ready to make you state it there as if it's fact. You got a long way to go to be 91. You just do a long way to go.
Yeah, no, the potential is certainly there for sure. I mean, just the way he's built, Derek Harmon is almost a clone of Cam Hayward.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean the size, I mean height, weight, arm length, hand size. Like it's like, geez, like did somebody clone Cam Hayward? Like it's kind of crazy. But the potential, it's there, and he's got some grown man strength. But
hell was Stephon Tuitt a second round pick, Chris? How did that happen?
I don't remember.
I mean, you talk about zero issues, zero character or anything. Went to Notre Dame, was part of a good program.
Was there an injury in college that I don't remember?
It's slipping my mind right now. Maybe somebody in the community can come up with it. I just remember that Steph was a second round pick.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
It had to have been a medical concern or something, because I think I do remember there being something there, because people definitely had I think there were definitely some teams who would have had a first round grade.
Yeah, James Galloway says that he was hurt at the end of his college, at the end of his seniors, or his end of his college season at Notre Dame.
Oh,
so that's the only thing that would really add up.
Okay.
Yeah, he says it was a knee.
Okay, yeah, there you go. My good friend the Butthole asks, was he or Bell a better second round pick? That's a good question.
They've had some second rounders. This team has.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Juju's a second rounder. At the time that everybody was excited about Chase Claypool, he was a second rounder.
Yeah.
They've had some second round picks.
They've also swung and missed in the second round too a few different times, even under Colbert. Wasn't Senquez Golson a second round pick?
Senquez, I mean, he came in with a shoulder. I mean, he never got a chance.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he couldn't even get onto the field in Latrobe.
Yeah.
You know, for all we know, he was the greatest player of all time. There's certain things that just happen. You know,
you never know.
And that you legitimately can't control.
Yep.
Or foresee. Looking for one more good question. Come on, guys. Give me one more good football question that doesn't make fun of my mistake on this morning's show.
Brian said Lima Swede.
Somebody had to.
Yeah, that might have been the worst second round pick.
Don't humor Brian. He's in there encouraging people to not become members. We're mad at him. Yeah, he's all bragging how he's not a member and everything. We don't like that. Caleb says Harmon's lack of finishing plays in sacks a technique thing, a motor issue, or just bad luck?
Technique. It's all technique.
It's
not a motor.
This was, again, we're going to invoke Bud for the second time in this program. Bud could do everything, and Bud could get back there. Bud wasn't finishing. Yeah. What got Bud to finish? Well, two things. One, the coaches were able to get him to stop over pursuing. Remember, Bud would famously end up about 10, 15 yards downfield. Yeah. Here comes my second Bud doing this Tasmanian devil down the field, right? But Bud goes past the quarterback, and he's not doing anybody any good. He's keeping the quarterback from retreating. Good job, Bud.
Yeah.
But then the other thing was, once Bud was tighter on those turns and making his way into the quarterback, that was when TJ was the one who worked with. TJ loved Bud. I want everybody to know that. Okay, TJ had a talk with me once. This was early in Bud's tenure, because he would say, "You guys," as in the media, but it was just me and him. "You guys are totally wrong about Bud. You're going to see this. Just wait. Just give me some time." And TJ was the one who worked with him. Got back there. Here's how you take him down. Here's how you get him by the knee. Here's how you get him by the ankle. Here's how you get him by the foot. Here's how you get him upper body. Don't let him throw. Go for the football. All that stuff that TJ would work with him on, you started to see Bud make that impact until Bud got paid. He really got paid. Yeah. In Nashville.
Yeah, it's a technique thing. It's not a motor issue. That's definitely not a concern with Derek Harmon. Harmon is a lot like Bud in that way. I understand it's two different positions: interior defensive tackle and then edge rusher. But Harmon is more of a straight line guy when it comes to pursuit. He's got learn the right way to pursue so that he doesn't overrun, and that's a big thing. And the good thing is that when you're playing defensive tackle, you're doing more pushing the pocket up forward than you are trying to bend around a corner. When the quarterback steps up in the pocket, you hope to be right there and not allow him to step up. Again, of all the coaches to not be concerned about, Carl Dunbar is of the least of concerns.
Don't you worry about him.
Yeah, so he's done plenty of work with people like Stephon Tuitt, like Javon Hargrave, and so he's got a good coach to coach him up.
Two more of these today, real quick here. Jacob asks, "Can Mason Rudolph beat out Aaron Rodgers?" I got to make sure I get those names right. Can he? No. I'm going to date the reference here, but the old Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's having a dance off with Daffy Duck. And Daffy goes out there on the stage and he's just brilliant. He's like Fred Astaire and everything else, right? And there's no applause. There's nothing but crickets. And then Bugs just goes and does like this little 2-second jig and he gets this standing ovation. That's how camp could look.
Yeah.
And yet Aaron Rodgers would get the job. You don't bring in an Aaron Rodgers and just say, go stand over there and watch Mason Rudolph. There's nothing shy of injury that could change that. Jared asks, if Aaron Rodgers decides not to sign with the Steelers for whatever reason, who is someone you'd like to be signed as the fourth quarterback? I'll amend that, Jared, before throwing it to Chris. That would not be your fourth quarterback. That would most likely be your second quarterback, presuming that you were referring to numerals on the depth chart.
Yeah. I would even say if it's a certain guy like Kirk Cousins, I don't think you're trading for Kirk Cousins to make him your backup. As much as people
really?
I really don't think so. I mean, why would Kirk Cousins, number one, want to be traded where he can go be a backup when he could just be the backup in Atlanta, which is where he signed in the first place? If he's getting traded somewhere to play football, it's going to be a starter. It's not going to be a backup because he's already going to be the backup in Atlanta. Might as well just stay where you signed at that point. It just depends on who they would add. That's
Denny says that Mike Tomlin is now the longest tenured active American sports coach. Will he make it to tie Chuck Noll? For anybody who doesn't know, and heaven knows we don't follow the NBA around here, but even I've heard that Greg Popovich, the legendary coach of the San Antonio Spurs, that's the NBA franchise for you Pittsburghers, has retired. He's had some health issues of late. I know that. And one of the most tenured coaches in the NHL, Mike Sullivan, was fired in Pittsburgh this week. He just took the job with the Rangers. So we've seen some guys with some pretty significant tenures in pro sports change up. And then that leaves Tomlin at the top of the list. Mm-hmm. Tomlin's been, of course, in his spot since 2007. Does that sound right?
Yeah, 07 was his first year.
Yeah, 2007.
Yep.
So he's been around for a while. Is he going to tie somebody or whatever? I don't know. I'm not doing. He's going to coach as long as he wants. I think that's really, really clear.
Yeah.
So, guys, it's been a good week here. Fun week on the show. Appreciate everybody who's with us. Appreciate, in particular, this week has been pretty uplifting here because of the kind words that you've offered to Chris regarding Chalk Talk. And we will. That was your cue to say something nice.
I'm sorry. You're like, I'm not good at taking compliments. I'm not.
I see this. They've
not
been good. What do you want to hear?
I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
He's not good at this. Okay.
I'm terrible at it.
I'm gonna say this. The Chalk Talks are done in a way that my favorite thing about the way he does these things is he's so. Hang on, these are going to sound like shots. You have to understand, when we leave a stadium, okay, we're out of M&T Bank Stadium and we get into the car and we're driving out, whatever, and we're, of course, looking for the first nearest Starbucks, right? As soon as we get in the car, this dude has on his phone, he's sitting there going through the plays. He's doing it with his thumbs, and he'll actually cut these plays up on his phone. I don't even know how the hell he does it. Okay. But he's sitting there circling them and whatever else. And it's so that he can do this for you later. This is not some, hey, Chris, go do this kind of project. Okay. He loves this. And that's what shows up in these videos. And I hope that's the part that gets appreciated. Jay is going to stick it in your. No way. He says you smell terrific.
It's an Ace Ventura. It's an Ace Ventura line. I know that.
Okay.
I know Ace Ventura. Okay, there are certain movies that I can just immediately know what the reference is. Ace Ventura is one of them. So thank you for that. That if you saw me chuckle like 30 seconds ago, that's what I read, and it made me.
Okay. All right.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of work to put them together for sure, but it's very rewarding to see the reaction. So I really appreciate it.
All right, guys, we'll be back. We'll be back with another one of these on Monday. All right. Do you see him blushing? Wasn't that funny? He's still doing it. I can see him down there in the little box. Guys, we are shooting for a goal of 3,000 members as part of our DK Pittsburgh Sports Steelers YouTube channel. It's 99 cents for a month. And if you get one of the gifts, that's awesome, but they expire after a month. And then you don't get another one. You can't get another one. YouTube just kind of crosses you off their little cyber list. So you have to go and become a member yourself. In the interim, there are gifts to be given out, and they were given out today. The barber came in with a couple. Eric came in with 5. Antonio Jackson, celebrating his 2-year anniversary as a member, gave 5. John gave 5. Stella came in with 10. The Butthole, as ever, comes in with a couple. The Pef, celebrating just Fridays, because Friday is a PEF kind of day, has 5 of these. Carlson's a new member. Williams a new member. Dave threw in $5 just to make fun of me, which is okay. I mean, if you think about it, the ratio, if everybody who makes fun of you over a given day hands you $5,
That's pretty good.
especially if you screw up as often as I do. Aaron Rudolph, for anybody who came late. This was actually spoken, by the way, on a recorded show, which means I could have technically heard it and picked it up and done it over again. But I was that oblivious to it that I didn't find out till this afternoon from all of you that this actually happened. 2,215 is our memberships count. That's where we are right now. The goal of 3,000, we're hoping to meet before the Steelers set physical foot on the St. Vincent College campus in Latrobe. That happens officially on reporting day, which is in the 3rd week of July. We'll see if we can pull that off. Butthole's saying he's trying to become a member of our website. Send me an email, dude. I'll take care of you. DK@DKPittsburghSports.com. I'll take care of you myself. All right. Everybody else, we will see you guys on Monday.